Hey, and welcome to the fourth episode of Doomed Secrets. In this episode, we finally made it to the 2 secret episodes of Plutonia, and I don't think it's unfair for me to say that these levels are widely considered to be big fan favourites. And there's plenty of reasons for that, we'll talk about those as we make our way through here. But I have to say that Cyberden in particular, I think it's just a really cool concept for a secret level, and I'm genuinely surprised it took until Plutonia to actually get to this idea. The idea of facing multiple Cyberdemons in a sort of gauntlet sort of challenge. The Archviles at the start of this one who sort of teleport behind these fake walls, it's very nasty work, but obviously by this point in Plutonia, nasty is the name of the game, and you know, it's pretty much up there with Plutonia as a skill. Now, the problem with this one here is that it's actually quite difficult to tell where the Archvile actually is behind the wall, so it's actually entirely possible to waste a load of ammo trying to take it down. Which I had to be very careful of there, because in the past I have blown through my entire rocket stash trying to take that down. Not going to deal with the Hell Knights here, instead we're just going to run past. But of course, now that we've hit that switch, we're going to see here the main event. Yes, this level is the one that makes you face off against Cyberdemons in succession, and to be honest, like I said, I'm very surprised that it took this long to get to this concept, because it kind of feels like it was a natural endpoint for Doom levels. But as you can see, dealing with the Cyberdemons one-on-one, it's not too bad. The level does provide you with a super shotgun and rockets. Now, of course, you know, we have the plasma rifle, but I don't want to blow through all that ammo too soon, and, you know, even saying that when I've not got any ammo is pretty funny, but dealing with the Cyberdemons with the super shotgun is probably the way to go on this one, at least initially. But I just like the concept of this one. Like I said, it's a very fun challenge. Cyberdemons are generally, you know, considered the hardest enemies in Doom, so getting 4 of them back to back to back to back like that, it really does sort of up the stakes in this one. I also kind of like how we've got these Hell Knights here. They're really just there to steal ammo from you. It's not really worth dealing with them until the back end of the level. This is also a really good training ground for people who might not be so good at Doom in how to face off against Cyberdemons effectively, because there's plenty of space here. It's not like the game's forcing you to go close quarters with this thing. But the idea here is that you are sort of learning how to move around and fight it, and also conserve your ammo, because the fact that you can see the other Cyberdemons tells most players that they are going to kind of have more encounters. And again, I just find the design here very, very simple, but it's not a bad simple. It's a very sort of... I appreciate the fact that they haven't overdone this arena. They haven't filled it with gimmicks. It's just you and a bunch of Cyberdemons with a bunch of other enemies like the Barons and the Hell Knights here, if you're not careful. And again, by this point, I think it's okay for this kind of level to exist. I think if you drop this into Ultimate Doom, it also makes me wonder if something like this in Doom 2 would have made those secret levels a bit more exciting, because as I mentioned when we were playing through Doom 2, one of my big problems with Doom 2's secret levels is that there's 2 Wolfenstein-inspired outings, whereas in Plutonia here, it really does feel like a massive skill test. And of course, once you come to the secret level, unlike all the secret levels we've seen so far in Doom 2 and TNT, you can't actually get off this track until you've gone through the 2 secret levels. There is no exit back into the normal level set that doesn't require you to go through level 32. It's definitely an interesting choice. I also kind of like how this level has lots of little secrets stashed away like that, so if you're paying proper attention, you can help yourself out. I'm not sure how you got into there. That's pretty interesting. Let me tell you, I don't know if I've ever actually seen that. It looks like one of the Hell Knights has managed to get to the bottom, trip the teleport, and put itself inside a wall. Interesting, definitely. As we make our way back out into the space here, you can see that when we hit those switches, the Cyberdemons are unleashed. And again, this is more a case of not wasting ammo and not, you know, overdoing it. The main thing here is that you're sort of honing your skills in facing off against Cyberdemons, because these things are very terrifying, in particular back in the day when obviously, slaughter maps are a big deal now, but Cyberdemons still had that aura of they could really mess you up if you weren't prepared for them. So seeing 4 of them in cages like this to a lot of players was a big deal. This is the weakest of the rooms here, by the way. You have to these 2 switches, and you have to kill the Mancubi inside, but there's also a pain floor, and we have to do that same sort of switch thing with the last door in a moment. I'm not a big fan of it. I get why they've done it, because they want you to use the rockets to hit yourself in the face, and me being me, I'll probably do that when we get there. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the fact that these switches, there's not really much going on inside these rooms. Obviously, the chain gunners there were a bit of a trap, but it would have been interesting for them to use maybe another Archvile trap or maybe some Revenants. It kind of feels like the level kind of blew its load in terms of the shock value with those Archviles that were zapped into the walls at the start, because after that, like, those next 2 sections, they're a bit of a letdown, let's be honest. And like I said, the thing with this level is that the 4 Cyberdemons, they are really, really fun to encounter, so it's not a case of this being quite dull. The reason that, a lot of players in the modern day probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at this level is purely on the fact that so many WODs have done levels in this vein with a ton of Cyberdemons, so a lot of players are better trained, whereas back in the day it was very, very rare to see multiple Cyberdemons on one level. And Plutonia here just throws 4 out into the mix, and it's like, have fun. I do not like this room just because I usually get shredded pretty aggressively by the chain gunners in here. Now, that's not me saying this is a bad room, I just don't like it, because this is a space where I've died many, many times through my own carelessness, and thus the natural hatred flows. Also, I hate these doors. Like I said, these designs of doors, I get why they're here, because they're more of a skill thing. They're supposed to try and catch players out who are using rockets. It's just a bit tedious to have to keep hitting the switches to get my shots in. You've got the Revenants in the corners here, but they're a bit kind of pointless. They're not really that dangerous unless you run right into this room and don't pay any attention to what's going on. You can probably hear a bunch of pinkies, and that is the sign of what is to come next in this one. As I'm kind of running around, it's worth noting that the windows here actually don't stop you from stepping over them. Once you grab the Berserk Pack and hit the switch, the pinkies will start flooding in, and I do find this encounter a bit toothless compared to what you would probably expect, especially because the opening to this level was pretty aggressive in terms of how it threw the Cyberdemons at you. But here you're kind of just dealing with a bunch of pinkies in a swarm, and we've done that a lot in Doom across the many, many WODs, so it's not really that interesting at this point. You can grab all the ammo there from the top. You have to do the switch thing again to get out of here. I also should point out that Plutonia does not have the same sort of stir building trick that TNT has, and yet it still builds steps there that are just as good as the ones in TNT, so I'm not quite sure why TNT had to, make use of that for its own special needs. But as you can see, once you grab the yellow key and you try to go through the fake exit, a bunch of Revenants will come out. Now, this looks a lot scarier than it actually is, I think. Once you kind of understand that there's only Revenants here, the Revenants' rockets will just chase you, and as long as you keep strafing to the left, everything is golden. Now, I can imagine back in 1995, 1996, this was a bit more challenging, because obviously strafe running wasn't the, default back in the original versions of Plutonia when you played it. So I can imagine some players may have had a more difficult time there. Overall though, I'm a big fan of Cyberden as a secret level. My criteria for a good secret level is that it's fun, it's quirky, and it offers a unique challenge, and I think this level hits all of those points, so this is actually one of my favourite retail secret levels. But of course, you're not here for Cyberden, you're here for Go To It. Go To It, it takes a lot of inspiration from Entryway in Doom 2, and the thing is, It expands on that, it throws a ton of monsters into the mix, and like I mentioned earlier on, if you choose to go to the secret level in Plutonia, you have to come here. There's no way around it. There's no normal exit so you can skip this level. And I think for a lot of people, this is kind of their first encounter with a slaughter map. And yes, I will call this a slaughter map because it really is a slaughter map. It might not have the crazy numbers that modern WoD slaughter maps have, but let me tell you, back in the day, this level stood out on its own in retail Doom. I used to teleport to this level specifically so I could play it because I loved the challenge that this level presented. And one of the reasons for that is because there's just no other level like this in Doom. In any of the retail Doom games, there really is not a challenge like this. You've got Cyberdemons all over the place, you've got Spider Mastermind over there, a bunch of Arachnotrons, Archviles, Mancubi, and just so many enemies are thrown at you. But the level is also very, very generous in the way that it kind of gives you health. And once you kind of understand the things that you need to do to get through this level, it's actually not that difficult. Even on Ultraviolence, I would argue it's not that difficult to get through this one, but you do need to sort of learn routing and you need to sort of get ready for the encounters. One thing I like to do when playing through this, if I'm trying to sort of get as many kills as I can, I try not to use all the megaspheres as early as possible. I know some people will probably scoff at that, but for me, I end up burning through megaspheres like crazy towards the end of a level, so keeping as many in play as possible is, in my opinion, the best way to go. Now, I know some people hate this level. I know some people genuinely do not like it, and I understand why some people would not like it, because this level is pure unadulterated monster killing porn. It really is. There's no way to describe it. This level is not here to be your friend. It's here to get a quick nostalgic cheer for the entryway vibes and then immediately smack you in the face with all of this. The way as well to get through this level, in my opinion, you've got to make use of infighting. The Cyberdemon there has taken out all of the Arachnotrons and the Spider Mastermind, which, of course, well, it's not going over all the Arachnotrons. Oh, actually, no, they've just killed it. Nice. And now your reward is that I'm going to blast you in the face. And of course, this is not the first slaughter map ever. You know, people were making slaughter maps, you know, well before this, but this is the first one to turn up in a retail Doom experience. And for people like me who had never played a level like this, it was crazy. And like I said, I used to come play this level all the time. If I was bored and I had half an hour to kill, I would just boot up Plutonia and jump to this level immediately. I wouldn't even bother with the rest of the WoD. That's the kind of power this level has in terms of just unique fun. I also appreciate with this one, it's got a fairly open design, and what I mean by that is, while the areas around the keys you kind of have to go to, how you choose to tackle this level is pretty much left up to the player. So for example, I'm going down here and clearing all these Mancubi out, but the thing is, you don't actually have to do this. If you really don't want to bother with this room to the left here, you really don't have to. Likewise, you don't have to deal with this Cyberdemon until you really have to, but some people like to get rid of it at the start of the level because obviously having a Cyberdemon shooting rockets is not good for one's long-term health in Doom. It's a level that gives you choices in how you approach it, and I think that that's such a clever way to handle a level like this, because when players come into this level, they are probably not ready the first time they get here for what they're about to encounter. This level is a massive jump in skill if you're playing on Ultraviolence, and if you're not playing Plutonia on Ultraviolence, you might have an easier time of it, but in my opinion, to get the full experience of this, you really need to be playing this on Ultraviolence. And as I said, a lot of slaughter maps over the years, they've used this level as inspiration. This is one of the most influential levels in all of Doom, in particular in the modern era, where slaughter maps have kind of become the main attraction in a lot of the big, larger WoD sets currently. And like I said, I'm not a huge fan of slaughter maps. I'm not like the biggest lover of them, but like this is so well designed in my opinion, and it's so sort of open to multiple directions that you can go in to explore to help yourself out, that I just kind of find myself really enjoying this one. It's such a blast to kind of play through this, and I think that, yeah, the monster count might put some people off, but at the same time, I think there's just enough nods to entryway here. There's just enough fun little quirks involved in this level that even for like fans who are not fans of the high monster count, it definitely has a lot to offer. Plus, if you do kill all the enemies on this one, it's such a good feeling. It's one of those few times in Retail Doom where you kind of feel obliged to get all the kills so you can have that sort of maximum feeling of satisfaction. Oh wow, that's a lot of pinkies. Did not expect that many pinkies. Okay, so I've done a dumb here. I should not have come into this section this quickly, because that archvile over there is kind of targeting me. That's not good for my long-term health, that, is it? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I think this is the perfect secret level, because I think that it's a very, 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 very challenging level compared to what came before. And to compare this to the other secret levels, I think is a tiny bit unfair, if only because this level very clearly is setting its stall out as the ultimate challenge. It wants players to come into this level and experience, you know, the absolute chaos within. But I think that this is just a good example of how far you can push the secret level concept in the retail games. I feel like this is easily the hardest challenge in any of the retail Doom games. Like, there's no other level in Plutonia or in TNT or Doom 2 or Ultimate Doom that even comes close to matching this. So if, like me, you were playing the retail games as a kid a lot, this was just very refreshing. And I keep mentioning that because it's important to have context with this, because as I've mentioned, this level went on to inspire so many slaughter maps, and obviously in Plutonia 2 they take this concept to the next extreme by expanding on it in every conceivable way. But for me, you just have to appreciate just how out of pocket this level actually was back in the day. Because there we were, there we are, fighting 4 Cyberdemons, and that's not even half the Cyberdemons on the level. So with this one, I always try to sort of get in here. Oh my god, okay, good. I was a bit concerned there because I didn't get to two-shot it. You'll notice as well I'm being very careful in which mega spheres I pick up. The reason for that is because, as you can see here, there's a bunch of archviles who are raining down on us, and they're going to be reviving a lot of enemies. So when it gets to this point, I always like to draw the archviles down this way, whereas before I tried to get all the revenants to go towards the other entrance. The reason for that is because if the archviles come running down here, I can deal with all of them here pretty easily, but I don't want to deal with all the archviles in that little opening on the other side, because it just gets messy. I shoot rockets into the wall, I kill myself, and then I just get frustrated. But yeah, even though I'm not a big, huge lover of slaughter maps, this is one of those levels that I just have huge nostalgia for. Like I said, I've played this level hundreds of times over the years, out of choice, just because I was having a good time. Not quite sure why some of the enemies haven't woken up down there. I'm not going to complain about it. If the game's going to give me a chance, I'm going to take it. But the thing with this level is it's all about managing the enemies, because there's so many traps that open up, and they're all silent traps. So you'll be walking through one part of the level, and then on another part of the level you'll wake up a bunch of enemies, usually archviles, who'll be busy reviving half the enemies you've already killed. And of course, we've got a lot of ammo, we've got all the weapons on this level, but if you blow through all that ammo, then you're kind of screwed, aren't you? Let's be honest. This is a very stern lesson in weapon management, ammo management, and just the ability to control the flow of enemies in your Doom experience. Also, Ratnatrons are such a pain in the backside, especially when there's multiple ones of them. I still don't know why those Cyberdemons haven't woken up yet. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. That's one of the reasons why I don't bother taking all the megaspheres as we're passing through, because it's moments like this where I need them most. Oh wow, you woke up there, didn't you? Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm not the bravest when it comes to Cyberdemons. 9 out of 10 times, if I try to go for a Cyberdemon, they're going to shoot a rocket right into my face. And trust me, this is not the first attempt to record this for this episode. When you grab the blue key here, a massive silent trap opens up in here. Now, if you shoot your gun after this wall opens up, these guys are going to come running out here. They're going to revive as many Mancubi as they can. It's going to be an absolute pain. But also over here, you can see there's a bunch of enemies, including chain gunners, revenants, and I think there's 2 archviles in here. They're going to get busy reviving as much as they can. And what makes this one particularly frustrating is that if you don't remember that this is here, these enemies will sort of spread out through the level and they will become a massive, massive problem. The archvile spam in this level is pretty beautiful and aggressive in equal measures. Luckily, the rocket launcher is the ideal weapon for swarms like that. And don't be afraid to make use of it. I like channeling those enemies down those little walkways, because if you hit them with the rockets, the splash damage does a lot of damage to the enemies around them, and I think that's just the most efficient way of dealing with them. This Cyberdemon here is just nasty work, because he's kind of recessed at the back here, and unlike the Cyberdemon in front of the yellow door, it can't actually stand still. It'll walk backwards and forwards, and if you give it enough chance, it will take shots at you. I'm not going to hit that switch just yet because I want to make sure I'm stocked up. Again, if you don't blow through all your ammo, this level isn't that insanely difficult. If you burn through ammo like it's going out of fashion, you are in for an absolute rough time. Don't want to pick that up just yet. Okay, I think that's all the preparation I can do here, because once we hit this switch here, there's going to be a whole horde of barons who come out of that hole at the back, and there's also some Cyberdemons with them. We have to be very careful using this trick here, because if given the chance, those Cyberdemons will shoot rockets down here, and they will be an absolute pain to deal with. But yeah, for my money, if you were to ask me honestly, and eventually when I get around to ranking the Plutonia levels in a video, Go To It is probably going to feature in the top 3, because for me, I just think it offers one of the most unique challenges in all of Retail Doom. I think compared to a lot of Plutonia levels, it's just a lot more fun. I don't know, like, I'm just not the biggest fan of Plutonia's levels overall. A lot of them just don't do it for me, and you know, they're not bad levels. I just think that they're a lot more puzzle box orientated and a bit cheaper than I like my Doom experience to be. But this level, I wouldn't even say it's cheap. I'd say it's just nasty. And I can appreciate that because that's the whole point of this level. But I can also understand why some people hate this one. I mean, I get it, because it is a true challenge, and at points, it borderline goes unfair, but again, the level sets itself up in that way, and this is a secret level, and one of the things I've been saying through all of these secret levels that we've looked at so far is I like it when the player is challenged in unconventional ways, or it's a fun level. And I think that this kind of falls into those two categories. Again, I'm not the bravest when it comes to Cyberdemons, especially when there's multiple ones of them, because I can already tell I'm probably going to die horribly to a rocket blast. And yes, as you can see, the rockets can come down here. It's one of those things that you've really got to be careful for when you're running around here. Luckily, if you just want to cheese it like I'm doing here, all you have to do is save your mega spheres up, and the game can't really do much because I can just keep buffing myself. But overall, I really like this as a secret level. In fact, I really like both of Plutonia's secret levels. I just think that they're really fun little challenges that, especially at this point in the Doom sort of retail experience, I think they're just different. And I appreciate that because it would have been so easy for them to do, an NQA clone here that wasn't as exciting as this. And people would have been okay with it. But I think that this level just sort of showcases what you can do with those ideas from the earlier Doom games, and it's just fun. As a secret level, like, that's all you really want. You just want your secret levels to be fun, interesting, engaging, and for me, I think Plutonia, in my opinion, has the two best of the levels that we've looked at up to now. So yeah, in my opinion, Cyberden and Go To It, they are probably the two strongest secret levels in any of the retail Dooms that we've looked at so far. Now, obviously, we've reached the end of the original sort of quartet of Doom games, but that doesn't mean this series is going to end. I'm going to be continuing on. We're going to be looking at Doom 64's secret levels, well, the fun levels as they're called, and I'm also going to be looking at the other releases over the years, and then I'm going to start looking at the sort of custom WODs and seeing how they take these ideas and take them to the next level. But what's your opinion of these two levels? Are you a big fan? Do you hate them? Let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.